barricades whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall, one wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
All right. Hey, can you hear me? By the way, this is not the optimal setup. I've got a whole different scenario. I'm in a whole different place. The sound may suck. The echo may suck. Let's make sure we have audio. Do you hear my sound? Can I get a 1 from anybody? Okay, I saw a 1 in here. I saw a 69. That's not a 1, but that's close enough. The point being is that I think we've got sound. The video is not going to be great. Let me explain why the video is not going to be great, why we are flying by the seat of our pants once again. So here's the deal. Kind of exciting news. Maybe for some of you. My wife and I had planned on revisiting Moscow, Idaho this weekend. We have a contact or two to make up here in the area, which we didn't have last time we came down here on the anniversary. We've got we're meeting some people, or at least one, maybe more, up here in Moscow, Idaho again. We kind of decided last minute to drive up there tonight so that we can hit some areas that are familiar to us again. So we are streaming from a hotel room. That's why the lighting is not optimal. The sound, I don't have a headset, so we're going to see if I get any echo. We may have technical challenges up the ass as we We often do. This is a fly by the seat of your pants kind of show. I see that we've got people in the background, so that's cool. We've got one on here. I'll explain a little bit about the show as typical. Thanks for the new member that joined us, Real T. Thank you so much. I know I see you here a lot, but it looks like you rejoined or resubscribed or became a member for the first time. I'm not sure. Yes, I do talk 1,000 miles an hour and I almost never take a breath. So if you're wondering, does that guy ever shut the hell up? I just like a constant stream of consciousness. I hardly ever take a breath. I've got Joe from State of the Deep backstage, Robin, who's a co-producer of our show. We are simultaneously streaming to 3 platforms at the same time. That's a new thing. We've never tried that before. So tonight's the first time we're doing that. I'm going to stream to 5 platforms, but I realized I have to upgrade my service a little bit. And I didn't realize that I couldn't do the 5 until I upgrade. So there was no time to pull that off now. Next time we go live, hopefully we'll be streaming to 5 platforms at the same time. Because of that, we also have integrated chat, and I don't know how all that works. I'm getting notices that we can't put some of the comments that I make may not go to all of the platforms that we're going to. I'm not going to say the names of the platforms that we're streaming to, only because I don't want those platforms getting upset that we're advertising other platforms. So we're just going to be platform agnostic as we stream across a bunch of platforms. So again, this is our first test streaming to 3 different platforms. I have no idea how it's going to look on these other platforms. I've never seen myself on the other platforms. So that'll be super interesting. And I don't know how to tell what our viewership looks like on the other things. So there's a lot of shit to work out. All right, let me tell you a little bit about the show and the shitty camera work. By the way, this whole thing looks a lot better when I'm in my home studio. Look at this piss poor shit that you see. Anyways, and I have my dogs with me on this trip. So there's that fun in the background. So shut the hell up. This is going to be a crazy show. All right. So we've got a panel. The Devil's Advocates, we kind of call them the Devil's Advocates. I am the Devil's Advocates. I started the channel, but as I started to build my channel, I started to bring on more and more people that help with the show. So Robin, who is my co-producer of the show, now helps me with a lot of the details. One is 20 years law enforcement, or plus more than 20 years law enforcement experience with NYPD, most popular, biggest police department you can think of, and he's in that. So it's really cool to have him on the show to give us kind of a law enforcement perspective. We oftentimes ask things about crime scenes and his perspective of what he's seen at crime scenes in his time that he's been on there. Really great thing to have on the show for a perspective on that. Joe from State of the Deep. All I can say about him, Joe's a deep thinker. He and I spend a lot of time waxing philosophical about the deep stories behind the stories. So while I cover a lot of true crime, Idaho 4, the case of Luigi Mangione, alleged shooter of the CEO of United Healthcare in New York, whether it's Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann, the alleged Long Island serial killer, Charlie Kirk, and the alleged assassin Tyler Robinson in that story, and also Mickey Steins, the sheriff, the former sheriff who shot a judge in his judge's chambers, and that crazy story. Those are the kind of the things that I talk about. Joe and I often end up talking a little bit deeper on a show called Deep Devils, which is a mashup of Devil's Advocates and State of the Deep, his channel. That's what Deep Devils comes from. We try to do a weekly show where we dive into some of the deeper topics like PSYOPs, Project Mockingbird, MK Ultra, some of the stuff that people will bring up when they're talking about true crime. This looks like a PSYOP. This looks like so-and-so's a patsy. We explain what those topics are to inform the stories behind the news. All right. Let's give this a shot. Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to bring up one guest at a time. I may have to adjust my audio because I didn't bring a freaking pair of headphones. This is a fly-by-the-night kind of shit, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see if I can get Robin to talk to me and have my directional mic making it. This, by the way, is also not, I don't have my best light. I don't have my best mic. I don't have my shit together. But, oh my God, do I have some stuff to tell you about today. Holy crap. If you're an Idaho 4 fan, we have shit, quite literally, actually, to talk about today. My wife's in the background. She knows what I'm talking about when I say we literally have shit to talk about. So let's go ahead and bring Robin on. Let's try this one at a time. And I'll unmute the mic. Robin, are you fighting me, Robin, for the microphone? I'm going to unmute you. Oh, I can't unmute Robin. Robin, can you unmute yourself? Because I don't know if we're fighting for the mic. Okay,
there we go. No, I was not touching anything, I promise.
All right. Are we getting an echo? Let me turn down the sound because I don't need it that loud to hear you. And that'll give us less chance. Okay. Do we have an echo when you talk? Talk again.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Cool. All right.
All
Does
right.
anybody? Can I get a 2 in the? Can I get a 2 in the chat if anybody's hearing an echo? Okay. How about can I get a 1 in the chat if there's no if you're not hearing an echo? I guess if I'm waiting for a 2 and no 2 shows up, then that's kind of a failure. Okay, 1 says we're not getting an echo. All right, with that
Okay.
in mind, Robin, how are you doing? I know this is, I stuck you at the controls again and then screwed you by saying, Robin, do the impossible because I'm on the road, boots on the ground in Moscow again. So are you doing okay?
I'm okay. I just don't have a computer, and all of a sudden you're like, guess where I'm going? I'm like, yay.
It was kind of last minute. It was one of those things that, again, I'm not thinking too clearly. Literally, though, however, I did, by the way, I'm going to overshare. I had a CT scan of my head because I've had some mild headaches for about 3 weeks. I had some vision issues. I had a hemorrhage apparently in my eye, and I was terribly worried about the headaches. However, I did a CT scan. Everything is clear. There's no mass. There's no fluid. There's no buildup, no water on the brain. I have absolutely nothing going on but a healthy brain. So what's going on with the headaches is undetermined. Could be allergies, could be something. Yeah, my wife says it's debatable whether I've got nothing going on in my head that's wrong, but at least on imaging, they say nothing's wrong in my head. So that's good news for me.
Yeah, definitely some good news. Excellent.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and bring, I guess I'm going to bring 1-1 up. Let's do this one at a time, I guess. 1-1, how you doing? Oh, you're muted. That's my fault. How about one more time?
Good evening, Dan. Hi, Robin. Hi, Lee. How is everything?
Excellent. It's going well. Did you know that I was going to be taking off today and coming to Moscow? I guess at some point I told you, but did you know ahead of time? Yeah.
Well,
No.
I didn't know. Well, I knew it was happening this weekend, but I didn't know it was going to be right now. Like, as you always say, do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
I even got my wife saying that now. By the way, I will say some hellos to some people in the room. I usually do that before I bring my guests up, but I want to go ahead and finish off with bringing Joe from State of the Deep. Do we know if we're getting Estes Crime Maze today or not? Or is he?
I did get him the link, but at the very last second, so I'm not sure. I'm hoping he's able to come.
All right. Joe, speak to us, man. Oh, you got no microphone as well. Now that's not our fault, Joe. We've got
I got it. I got it now. What's up, everybody? How's it
how
going,
you doing,
Dan?
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Shotgun Friday.
How you guys doing?
Yeah. So great. We've got the whole panel. Well, we don't have the whole panel. Just Jason Estes also likes to join us from Estes Crime Maze. Joe is going to get his channel. I think he's already got a Substack, but I think he's going to be getting into YouTube more. And so he's actually going to be taking probably a time out from us a little bit to get that YouTube channel off the ground. 1-1, he's not going to do a YouTube channel. That guy's already, I don't know how you even get by in life with the number of hours you don't sleep. Like, that's ridiculous.
I told you I'm a vampire.
You are a vampire. I'm not thinking you're joking about it. Like, you are a straight up vampire. It's the only way to explain that shit. So let me tell you a little story about today. So I swear to God, this is horrible. I'm not a horrible person. When I tell this story, I want you to know that I'm not a horrible person. However, you remember the story with Joe when I was up here? What is it? Has it just been a week? Were we up here just last week, Joe?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck it. Time flies. Anyways, as Joe was saying, when we had a members only live stream, and I needed to pull over to fix a battery on my phone or my camera, he looks over in the window and he goes, "Do you realize you just pulled in front of the Moscow Police Department?" And he's like, "Only DA could just randomly pull over in the Moscow PD Police Department parking lot," which I did. I actually had to get off the street, so I pulled into their parking lot to change my battery. And he was kind of laughing about, like, only you had not planned that and just pull into the police. Like, I'm just gonna randomly pull over. That shit happened today. In one of the most humiliating things I feel like I've done, because I do not want to disrespect anyone with what happened. So here's the deal. Here's the setup. Rhonda and I are going back. We've got somebody that we're going to meet in town. We're going to talk to a local about some things. By the way, that's already borne fruit. I have talked to a local about things that I've never heard before related to Idaho 4. Rhonda and I have new places to see that we've never heard of before. So that's going to be exciting stuff already. And I haven't even met this person yet. We're just doing some talking on the phone, and they're like, hey, if you're going to do this, you should probably do this. And I was like, I didn't even know about that. So already I've got stuff to tell you. But get this. So I said, Rhonda, so let's stop by a house that I think is kind of associated with this a little bit. We ended up again in Lewiston, Clarkston area as we come in from our area. And I said, let's go by the house that allegedly is owned by Brent Kopacka's mother, Darcy Kopacka, and maybe brother Zach Kopacka. Now, here's the thing. We had it all planned out. I said, look, here's what we're going to do. We got dogs with us, right? We got little dogs. We're just going to go down a couple blocks from the house. We're going to take the dogs out. We're going to take them for a nice leisurely stroll. I'm going to have the chest camera on my chest, and I'm just going to walk past the house, and I'm going to turn, and I'm going to look at the house, and we'll get some good footage. I want to reiterate to people, everybody better leave this family alone. I'm not going to show the footage tonight. That all I'm trying to do is show to you how close things are to go along with the narrative. But anyways, so we have it all planned out. We're incognito. First thing that happens when we get out of the car, we're a block and a half away from the house, and one of our dogs decides to shit right in the neighbor's yard with the family in their front yard as our dog is arching back, tail raised, just taking a big old dumper right on the lawn. As I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God, this is how it's going to start. But no. It gets so much worse. So much worse. So after one of two dogs dumps in the neighbor's lawn where we get out of our car, we go down the street, and I'm like, okay, we're right outside of Darcy Kopacka's house. Dog number 2 takes a shit in Kopacka's yard. Like literally in his yard. I'm like, no, I was horrified. I was like, I didn't know whether to look away, to run. My wife's like, I don't know what to do. The dog's in mid squat. Like the dog is dumping on the house lawn. It was horrendous. It was, and yet I thought all I could hear was Joe in my head, like only fucking DA can do that kind of shit, because it just happened. We did clean it up. We have doggy bags, so we cleaned it up. I mean, no disrespect to anyone. And as I said, I am not going to air that footage tonight, but it was one of those moments where I was both horrified and thinking to myself, this doesn't happen to other people. This just happens to me. So that's kind of how that trip started. We got great footage. Somebody does live there. There was a dog in the house, and there was obvious signs of people there. So at first I thought the house had been abandoned, or maybe nobody lived there. It's clear signs that people are living in it and we're there. Good thing we didn't get shot with my dog pooping on their lawn. But whatever the case may be, never was that intended. But we got great footage. we got great footage of my dog. So anyways, then we drove across the river, the Snake River, into Clarkston, Washington, and we visited Costco, Albertsons, areas located that supposedly Brian Koberger went to the day of the murders. We are here, I believe, if I remember right, didn't the murders happen on Saturday morning, right? They were out Friday night. So we're on the same night of the week, right? As far as the night that everybody went to the corner club and all this like that, or am I off a day? Now I know we're off a year, we're off a week because we're here
You're off a day.
No, you're off a day.
Yeah.
So the partying was Saturday night, murder Sunday morning?
Well, no, the anniversary was last weekend.
Well, no. I know that. What I'm saying is, what night of the week were they out partying in the morning?
It would have been a Saturday night and a Sunday morning. Okay,
that's what I was saying. I'm off one day because I'm on a Friday night.
Because I think Friday night was that formal thing.
Right,
they had parties on Friday night too. Right, I think that was that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm one day off. Anyways, the point being is that we got more footage to get. Here's the other thing, by the way, that I did today. And again, I don't have the footage to air tonight. I just got back and literally the camera is still dumping the footage to my hard drive. But we got out and we walked the neighborhood, and I walked from And it's amazing. I walked from the Linda Lane apartments footage where we all seen the car turn into Linda Lane, and I walked between the Queen Road apartments and down the staircase right into 1122 King Road lot, and it was the shortest walk you would imagine. It was insane.
Oh, that's great. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted you to do that video. I've been dying to see that.
I got the footage, and then get this,
Excellent.
and then get this. This was the craziest thing. We're walking past the house, and the Westminster chime bells go off in the distance.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I said to my wife, I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, there's a lot of discrepancy about the time, the local time versus the Westminster chime bells. Let's just stop and listen to it and record the chimes. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We listened to the whole Westminster chime bells. And then Rhonda and I counted on camera 5 bells. It was 4 o'clock. So it's got one extra bell. The time on the clock is off from local. So take that from what it's worth. I mean, it's 3 years later.
Right.
Daylight savings times wasn't too long ago. So I don't know if they just keep if the clock tower just stays on the same time all year round and it's just off by a bell for half the year. I don't know if that's the case or if they just got around to late, but it was interesting because I just thought as a thought exercise, oh, the bells are going off. Let's just record it. And so we counted it out. I hope you hear it on camera when you get to see it. You will hear the bells, I hope, in the background playing very loudly from the house, just like you've seen on body camera footage where you hear the bells. You can hear it from the house, and I think it's going to get picked up on the audio. If not, and here's the thing, it's funny. If not, I could isolate and enhance the audio. But you know how I feel about isolated, enhanced audio. Hopefully you'll just take my word for it, but I think you can hear it anyways. So there you have it. And so we rushed. We got a lot of footage from there. We walked around. We walked the entire neighborhood, Banfield, Linda Lane, Queen Road, King Road. We walked up into several houses and complexes. Got on the ground footage, you timed it so you can see it yourself. All over. We even went to the center of University of Idaho and got video of the memorial. It's a permanent memorial. It's called the Healing Garden. They've got 4 plaques up for the Idaho 4, all fresh flowers decked out for the 4 of the victims, including other people who have been murdered on campus or near campus are at that healing area. So we got that on camera footage. I've never seen that before. So already we got new footage to add to Joe's footage. And again, you haven't even seen all of the footage from Joe and I's thing. So I've got I may have 15 hours of video footage in the bag that I just haven't even shown and released yet. So pretty excited about that. But that all comes at a cost, which is I'm not prepared for tonight. So this is going to be a little bit of off the cuff. I did do some looking into Candace Owens, some of the new things that she's saying about the Charlie Kirk thing. So we can talk about that. We can talk about Idaho 4. But for the most part, in a moment here, I'm just going to shut the hell up and have you guys tell me, is there anything that you guys saw, wanted to talk about, and let me kind of take a back seat and quit talking for a minute.
Well, I think we ended on a good point last night. To bring that up again, maybe could get JJ's take on it. He gave some comments on it. I'd like to just to cover again. I believe this $400 million lawsuit against WSU is a huge deal. Some people don't. I understand. I know there's a lot of different theories and conspiracies and different things, and people are automatic. I wouldn't say automatically, but there is a there is a thought process that, well, the campus has big money and they have to know what's going on there and they have to be involved in all that, but they're maybe they're not involved in it, or they're not, they could have a small part. There's a lot of different scenarios, but I think the fact of this $400 million lawsuit is huge, because now basically all these families, I'm going to say, they basically, it's almost like they're at war with the university there. If you want to believe that it's legit. I know some people are going to say, oh, how do we know that the lawsuit's real and this and that? Well, I don't know if it's officially, come down yet. I mean, once it does, we'll be able to actually, I guess, get all the the documentation that a lawsuit has actually been filed and all that stuff. But let's just go by saying that it actually is legit. This means that a lot. Go ahead.
Well, I think the lawsuit for sure is legit. The dollar amount is the part that I'm not 100% sure of, because the articles that I read about it said that the dollar amount had been undisclosed, but the number 400 million has been tossed around a lot.
But
so the lawsuit's legit, but the dollar amount, not sure.
So what's really big about it is that there's going to be a lot of depositions, and why that's a big deal. So just to cover again, there's some big discrepancies. One, Lee has covered extensively. He had a whole members only video, and he did a great job with it. Officials claim that they didn't know Brian Kohlberg's name until December 19th, right? We know that that's pretty much proven false now. We're going by the official record that has been released to us. As we know, BK appears as a suspect on forensic receipt dated December 5th. So how, there's going to have to be some explanation in that. Then you got Rosie and Tisdale. We know that, they were both interviewed. We know that they were driving around the area. They have the Banfield stop. There's the sign stop. Tisdale says that they were driving around. It almost looks like they are suspect vehicle one, right? And the big issue with Rosie and Tisdale, although there is some video where we're like, oh, that looks like that's probably the unmarked car or whatnot. There is definitely Linda Lane camera footage that is missing. That where is it? Where is this? You have officers who are stating like, oh, we went around 4 times and I made a U-turn here and I did this and I did that. Where's all the video of showing step by step all this stuff? So that's going to be questioned. And then the third big thing, one is kind of, I wouldn't say it's not a far reach. I mean, the name has been mentioned. It's not officially in the record. One name, and the second name, we assume is part of the record. So we got, I'll be careful with saying Mowich and Kopaka. Mowich, we haven't officially, he's not in any official record per se, but we do know there is evidence documented that this car accident or whatever that he was part of, it was about a week or so later after the incident, his DNA was sent to the FBI, and the FBI did send this guy's DNA to Moscow and whatever, because he succumbed to his injuries. And apparently, hospitals do this all over the place. If you come in to the hospital and you say like, oh, I fell down the stairs and it looks like someone beat you up or whatnot, the hospital is required to notify law enforcement. So they right. Hospital did what they were supposed to do. And then along with him, Kopaka, we pretty much, I still think that this guy is involved. I believe Lee does as well. Where is any info? We haven't seen any info that has been released that shows that their DNA was actually compared to anything that was tested at the crime scene. Why? Right. Right.
So
that's why I wanted to bring up that.
For a while. They tested the 4 alternative suspects that Ann Taylor identified in the documents. They tested those, and the wording that they used was they were excluded as possible contributors to the blood left on the knife sheath. But like you said, I don't know that they've ever tested anything to Kopaka or Mowich or
Right.
anyone else. Kopaka, of course, is the one I want to see
Right.
compared to
Right.
something in the house. The problem that you have with it is if you believe that they're controlling the narrative in this story and that they already have been hiding what happened with Kopaka, do you believe anything they tell you if they say, yeah, we tested it, Kopaka has been excluded? Like,
Exactly.
I mean, it's a catch-22. Do I want them to test it for Kopaka? Yes. But if you believe they're in covering up Kopaka anyways, why would they tell you the truth about Kopaka? Of course they would tell you, yeah, we tested it and came up nothing. So I don't know how to even deal with that one, you know?
All right. We have a new member. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you, Leah, for becoming a member. I appreciate that very much. And by the way, for the first time, we're streaming on one of our platforms. Again, I don't want to say because I want to stay platform agnostic and not, you know, but I am seeing on screen new things from another platform. So it's cool seeing that streaming is working. And again, I think we have at least 5 platforms we want to stream to. I'm only streaming to 3 because the plan I'm paying for is like, hey, would you like to stream to that 4th and 5th person? Pay us more money. Oh my gosh. But you know what? It is actually, if you do this a lot, it's worth the money. It's just, it's a lot of money, but they do a lot. To be fair, this software does a lot. So anyways, and by the way,
and
I think,
yeah. And then one other thing to add. So those 3 things. And then the other, I think I mentioned it like a night, not yesterday, maybe 2 days ago or so. The other big thing that goes along with the depositions, again, you had all these different, I want to say whatever, witnesses or friends, sorority members, other people in the area. How many different people were, friends with these people, were involved in Bloom's book, were involved in documentaries.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that they've said conflicts with with other statements that they actually did in official interviews. So all this stuff can be brought up. I would say one of the big things that I know, I'm not necessarily saying that they were involved in the homicides or whatnot, but one of the big it's kind of a contradiction, but it is a big thing glaring us in the face is the interview with Emily and then the interview with Hunter Chapin. Not Hunter Chapin, I'm sorry. Hunter Johnson. So the interview with Hunter Johnson, and just to remind everyone, Hunter Johnson, he was the one that had the knife in the house when the officers arrive on scene, and he played. You could check from the body camera. He's the one that established, put the knife on the table that's downstairs. But he says that he got the knife from the kitchen drawer. Emily, in her interview, says that knife was at the top of the stairs. That's a pretty big discrepancy. Like how would you mess that up? Like,
right.
How would you? So there's a big problem there. Like what? Someone's not telling the truth.
There's a lot of problems, and that's the frustrating part. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of things that were done wrong, and yet at the end of the day, we're never going to have a trial. So how do you force those things into the light when we're never going to have a trial? So, but like you said. And we should ask Joe and Robin to weigh in on this too, because we've been dominating the mic. But as you said, it's a possibility that this lawsuit against WSU and pending lawsuits against the University of Idaho will force the colleges perhaps to defend their money and be like, wait a minute, maybe we should relook at something because now I'm on the hook for $500,000. So what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, Lucy Morningstar had commented she doesn't think it'll see the inside of a courtroom, and I tend to agree. I think that if this is what I think it is, which is an operation, they'll most likely either it'll get dismissed or it'll be settled. So no further information will come out.
Yeah.
That's what I tend to think about that. Another thing too, to piggyback off of what One was talking about, we've all spoken about this quite a bit. The Rosie thread is a really significant thread, more than I think, almost up there with Kopaka. I think if that could be confirmed, which I'm pretty sure Steve G would know if that was going on, because he was digging into things So assuming he's not somehow connected to an operation directly. But if that could be verified, that puts pieces together, really important pieces, because that would then amplify what one has spoken a lot about Tisdale and Rosie being at the house that night. That puts a magnifying glass on that even more, because it's more relevant if it can be confirmed that Rosie was in fact involved with Kaylee. And because that's, in my opinion, of all the different threads we've been pulling, that one is one of the most significant. I mean,
Yeah.
law enforcement, local law enforcement being involved with one of the victims and being at the house the night of the crimes, whatever it was, even if it was an extraction, him being involved with her, that thread is a massive, right. Cat's Mojo, or he was a handler for Kaylee, which we've talked about that. Like, what if he was the one that set up a lot of this stuff?
Yeah.
I think you made a point that that I forgot to mention. We talked about what if the lawsuit will actually have good fruit? Like, what if the lawsuit forces? But I think it was one maybe, or maybe it was Joe. Shit, now I forgot who said it. Pointed out they're going to settle. That's the thing. Here, that's the way this works as well. You think, oh, here's a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe some truth will come out. If the truth's going to come out, they'll just settle, and the terms of the settlement will not be made public. No one will know, and all that will happen is the Gonzalez's, and the Laramies for Maddie Mogan's family, they'll get paid off an undisclosed amount of money, and it still won't go to trial, and it still won't. Like, that's how it works. It's like, okay, we're on the hook for $500,000. How little can we get out, pay their families, and just make them go away and take a settlement? And that's probably realistically what happens there is a settlement.
Yeah, I tend to think that because we could theorize so many different things with this case, there's so many different angles we could look into, to say nothing of the stuff with SEL, that place that we went to that was right behind the what was the apartments there?
Pimlico
Apartments, right across from the Coffee House Apartments, or no, Steptoe Village, right? That was, they're right next to each other.
Yeah,
that's a whole other thread. But I think the Rosie thread is right there. It's right there in front of us, and that one, to me, because it's so hard, right? We could all come up with different theories related to Kopaka, but if we can pull on that one thread, I think that thread would expose other things that are related. And Cat's Mojo bringing up Rosie could have been a handler. I mean, there's so many things. Is it possible that he wasn't in a romantic relationship with Kaylee, but he was spending time with her because he was running her? He was her handler. So I think that's a really important thread to pull, because that one could either open up a whole other can of worms, or it could seal up a whole area of inquiry, and then you could kind of move on to another thread.
Yeah, and I'm just catching up some comments, because there's some great comments coming in here, and I just want to get some people's comments on screen. But yeah, this case has got so many untethered things, so many stuff. I almost have a little bit of hope that something's going to shake loose, but then again, I still, at the end of the day, I go, there's never going to be a trial on this, and there's never going to be, and again, even with a lawsuit, there'll just be a settlement. The cynical part of me says they're just going to bury it. The question is, can armchair sleuths and people who are persistent pull the right threads to make something happen, despite the continued effort to try to just sweep it under the rug and say, you guys got the answer. Guy pled guilty. It's over. Go home.
Well,
so I don't know.
But that's only right. But this is only though if if we believe that WSU has some kind of involvement, though. I mean, if WSU has, if they really have no involvement, and anyone could say like, oh, you know, they, I agree, they would rather settle sometimes, make the stuff just like go away. But if they truly had nothing to do with anything that went on, at the same time, you don't know how far up the food chain is in, so maybe WSU is not involved, but there's still someone high up that, if we're talking about police corruption and whatnot. And I truly believe that Payne knows exactly. He knows that Rosenthal was there, Tisdale was there. Molly saw Tisdale, he described the car, described Tisdale. He knows that they were there. Why is he covering? Why, he's the lead investigator, right?
Let's answer this question that somebody asked. Whose parents were in trouble that snitched allegedly? And this would be Kernodle, right? Xana Kernodle's mother.
Xana,
yeah. And Maddie Mogan's.
Yes.
And
Maddie's
one of Maddie
mother.
Mogan's.
Right.
Yeah. So those were the two children in the house that some say their parents were involved in cases with drug offenses that allegedly, or the rumor has it, I don't know how you want to word it, may have cut a deal for leniency in their own cases in exchange for giving information and turning in somebody of a higher level. There's been names thrown around of a couple of brothers that went to jail because they had essentially given up some bigger name. And then the rumors and allegation comes is the kids or the house was hit because of that, because snitches get stitches or whatever the case may be. Maybe the parents who ratted, if that happened, were protected. And again, this goes along with, it's too bad Jason Estes isn't here, because this goes along with the whole extraction event, right? If one of the daughters, for example, that was targeted as, we're going to kill Xana Kernodle, because she's the daughter of the snitch, and maybe they didn't succeed with that. Could she have been extracted to protect herself? Could she have been protected again? They knew she was the hit. Could they have gotten her out? Did other people die in the house and they ended up getting her out and offered her witness protection? I mean, all of those things, there's a lot of scenarios, and I understand we can't prove any of that. So it's all thought exercises, because I feel like mainstream media should have been asking these questions. Instead, we have to ask the questions, and they're not going to follow. They just bought hook, line, and sinker because they want to be able to have FaceTime with the law department and stuff like that, and they don't want to get cut off from access to future crimes and stuff like that. So they just go along with anything that they're told, because that's the way things are done nowadays. They don't do investigative journalism anymore, in my opinion. But
so it was Xana's mother, and it was Maddie's either father or stepfather,
yeah, right. Father
that had issues with drug busts.
Right.
That's what I remember.
I mean, it's crazy. I'm at the point now where I definitely am confident that there was an operation involved.
Remember, the oddest thing about those other families is Ann Taylor was involved, right? Ann Taylor was involved in the previous drug cases with the family members. And in fact, it was I just saw something recently. Gosh, who was it? A major name and kind of like true crime stuff said, this is going to get appealed immediately, because there's a conflict of interest with Ann Taylor representing Brian Koberger in the first place. They saw it as a clear problem. They said this whole trial is doomed from the get-go. Ann Taylor already has a conflict of interest. Her argument was, my name was on the paperwork because I'm the public defender. I'd never actually represented them. I never actually had my first appointment with them. So therefore, it's just a paperwork thing. I never actually talked to them, and it's never mind. But somebody who saw that Ann Taylor was representing the parents of the victims said, this case is doomed already. They're going to appeal this right away because there's a conflict of interest. But I don't know.
The one, I guess, thing that I think is really important, that the two threads I think are the most important to pull, are number one, to confirmation that Rosie was involved with Kaylee, that confirming that rumor or refuting it. The other thing is, were any of the parents connected to any government agencies, right? Steve G, all you've ever heard about him is, oh, he's in IT. Well, DA, you worked in IT, and it was for an intelligence related company.
Right.
So
Right.
this is something that I think is really
Yeah.
important, because across the board, if you look at a lot of operations and a lot of intelligence, and kids of people that are involved in the intelligence community often also get involved in the intelligence community in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And so if, it was, for me, I looked it up, numerous times, like Steve G, and it's very hard to find information about him other than cursory information like, oh, it is believed that he worked in information technology or whatever. But if you could draw a line between him and some sort of government related agencies.
Well, Joe, I want to tell you a story. At the risk of realizing that people may not give a shit anymore, this happened in 2012. But this was as an example about Steve Gonzalez is an IT guy, and they just kind of blow it off as just an IT guy. And again, like you said, I was just an IT guy, and I worked for the intelligence agencies. I had above top secret clearance, and I was just an IT guy. And so oftentimes mainstream media will try to make the media or the public think of certain things by using terms like, well, he's just an IT guy. But a perfect example, in 2012, James Holmes, the shooter of Aurora, Colorado, his father was referred to in mainstream media as just a software engineer. That guy helped write the software that develops our FICO scores. Everybody's credit score is that guy was literally in part of FICO's system for developing every person in America's score on how they're able to lend money and buy money. And they referred to him as just a software engineer. He's just a software engineer, no big deal. That guy was huge, and not just a software engineer. He was going to testify before Congress about the LIBOR scandal, allegedly, because the money that they discovered being trillions of dollars that were being built by. There was a huge thing around it, and yet the media dismissed him as a nobody. He's just a software engineer. So to your point, is Steve Gonzalez just an IT guy, or is there an IT guy that they're just kind of making you sound like, oh, he's just an IT guy? Then maybe there's more.
Right. And SEL, the place that we all went nuts that night when we were all doing the live, and we were driving around and we were circling around that place, it's Schweitzer Electronics Lab. That was the name of it. Right. And we pretty quickly confirmed that they do government related stuff. Right. So it's threads like that often expose other things. Well, Heather Nealon says he's too dumb to be a Fed. He doesn't have to be a Fed. If he worked in conjunction with any federal agencies or federal operations, that could expose other connections, right? And again, I say it all the time, and it's very logical. You have, like, what the difference between what a lot of people do in online crime sleuthing and things like that is they'll theorize a lot of things. Some people dig into documents and do different things. But when there were real investigative journalists, which seem to be few and far between these days, they would pull a thread, and until they pulled that thread as far as they could pull it, and then they would move on to another thread. If that bore no fruit, they'd go to the next thread and they would pull it. And sometimes these journalists would be involved in investigations for years.
Yeah.
Right. And so the Rosie thread, and I think these are just two, there are many, but what really did Steve Gonzalez do? Yeah, he did IT. For who? Did he do IT for any government agencies? Did he do IT for any intelligence related stuff? Because that is a thread that just my gut instinct tells me is a significant one.
And for the record, I don't say it a lot, Joe, but I 100% agree with you. I think Rosie is a thread that needs to be pulled. I know you're not seeing me do it a lot, so you're probably thinking you have to convince me. You don't have to convince me. I think Rosie is a thread that needs to be pulled. I just have been working so much on the Kopaka thread and so like that's the thread that I'm pulling. But I 100% agree. The Rosie thread is the thread that needs to be pulled as well. I think Brett Payne's thread has to be pulled as well. But those are names that I think you can't let go. I also, because of that, because you only have so many cycles in the day and so much hours, have been letting other people follow the likes of Mowich and others. Like, look, I'm not going to start down a rabbit. I've always been on the potential Kopaka thing, and I'm still not done pulling the thread because I just feel like we don't have the answers. We still don't have. Yeah. I want to get the final, like, it can't be, and then I'll let it go. But I haven't got the it can't be. So
and you know, a lot of for all the hardcores out there, and I know we have a bunch of them in the den, sometimes a thread, it may not actually lead to the person that you're directly looking into. Sometimes you pull a thread far enough and then it pulls up a connection to something else.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely.
And it reveals another thread that you can pull. And I've seen it so many times, and the people that have done things like that often expose much bigger connections. Like, for example, the James Holmes thing, right? If nobody looked into that, no, he's not just some random kid, by the way, everybody. He was working in a DARPA funded program in Colorado.
Listen, I mean, you're 1,000% correct. Sometimes pulling the thread, even if it doesn't bear fruit in that case, brings up bigger things. Like, for example, not just was James Holmes connected with that. You can argue because his father, for example, was a FICO score guy and developed the FICO score system and was huge into that and was going to testify before Congress. Adam Lanza, later, the shooter in Sandy Hook, also was the son of a banker. A major banking father was his father, Adam Lanza. And so the same year, within months of each other, they did 2 mass shootings, were sons of big money guys involved in banking and money. Is that a coincidence? Some people started pulling the thread. And when you do, even if you believe that the real shooters were the real shooters and Adam Lanza was really the shooter and James Holmes was a real shooter, you started to unravel bigger shit behind the banking system because you were pulling the thread. So I think you're right. Sometimes you even uncover things you didn't intend to uncover. It may not even be related to that story, but it's still worth pulling the thread. So
yeah, always, right?
That's
sure. Why I always pull up connections. I could be totally wrong about them. But like the SEL place being right behind the apartment complexes, it's like, I'm like, well, that's pretty crazy, because what do we always talk about? Like government connections, contractors, things like that. And right behind those 2 apartment complexes is this big government looking building. And sure enough, when we went over there, we looked into it and quickly found out they do stuff with the government.
Yeah. Robin, you've been awfully quiet. Have we been leaving you in the dust? Or you just doing administrative duties back there silently?
No, I've been going back and forth to make sure Facebook. This is shit. I said the word. Sorry. Just making sure that these other things are doing all right and they're okay. There's nobody there at the moment, but that's okay. So I'm kind of fascinated with watching everything.
It's kind of it's kind of a dry run.
I'm all good.
Yeah, it's a dry run. We're streaming to a couple new platforms. I think we'll add a couple more platforms and stream to 4 or 5. But again, people don't even know who we are over there, so we need to kind of build our base there. You guys have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to address this comment. You put it up on the screen before. So Daily Twin Flame, you said allegedly Kaylee was on Sugar Babies or something like that. So
yeah,
we've spoken about this a few times. Me personally, I don't believe Kaylee was part of OnlyFans or Sugar Babies, because with this case, with how much publicity it got, I guess, well, definitely nationally, I don't know, I guess worldwide, whatever. I just think we would see some kind of picture, some kind of video, something would have been released by now. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible that Kaylee was doing something, some kind of whatever, escorting or some kind of thing on the side. There's all kinds of, um, statements from people saying, she went home with a guy from a bar or this or that. I mean, was it just, innocent, college stuff or whatnot? Was there more to it? But I don't believe that she was on any of those sites. I think by now, we would have seen that stuff. I think all over the place. I mean, that's what I believe. And then again, just to piggyback off of JJ, I believe the Rosie thread. I know we have the Kopaka thread. I think the Rosie thread is a huge thread that would tear apart this, would tear open a lot of what has gone on. Whether he had some kind of relationship or whatnot, I'm pretty much there, 99%, that Rosie was at that house between probably between 3 and 3:30 a.m. He was there. Was there something going on there? Something already happened, and then there's a lot of different scenarios. He could be, on whatever some kind of he could be corrupt. He could be part of the drugs, or part of, involved with the Aryan Nation, or that kind of thread. And maybe he had no involvement in the homicides, but these people who have these large groups, or if you want to say cartel or mafiosa kind of things, this is what they this is a small town. They do this stuff all over the country. I mean, this has happened a million times in New York City. They try to get some kind of cop on the payroll, and that this is the stuff that they do. And either to help them avoid getting involved in some kind of bust, so they know that there's some kind of shipment or something going on, and they try to get intelligence, or it could be some kind of cleanup. So I can't stress enough the thread on Rosie, and again the 911 tape. Along with, yes, 8 hours, it's a huge thing, and I know everyone wants to attack Dylan and go after Dylan because her story makes no sense. But I truly believe, the police were already there, and that's why I believe you don't hear any sirens in the background. I believe that, maybe there's other officers probably, but Rosie, I believe, was there. And then he signed, he went off duty apparently at 3:52 and change, right, with Tisdale. Maybe he went back to the house.
Right. Let's stop for a second. I have to address this before it goes too far. Did Rosie have a dog named Murphy? Come on, man. This case, how many Jacks are involved? How many Ethans are involved? How many Hunters are involved? How many?
Right.
Like, I've never seen a case with so many names involved that are the same, that you start getting confused with who you're talking about, because everyone's got the same fucking name in this case. And are you going to tell me now that Rosie has a dog named Murphy? And while that fundamentally might just be weird, remember, Jack and Kaylee got a dog together and they named it Murphy. Now the question becomes, where'd the inspiration for the name Murphy come from? Anyways, just this case.
Hey, Jay Gamble, sorry to interrupt. Jay Gamble made a comment a little while back that the Rosie was involved with Dylan. Now, I don't know where that information came from, but I'd like to find out more about that if anybody has heard things like that, because that is a whole other angle to be considered.
Right. And I saw there was also a comment about another stream, something with Revelation Tarot. I just say, you just have to be careful about taking some of that for absolute truth. Even she says it herself when she does some of the readings and whatnot. I do know what the comment was talking about was that supposedly she was saying that there was some kind of gunshot or whatnot in the house, and that it was covered up by mirrors or something was moved to hide the like the bullet in the wall or whatever. Anything is always possible, right? But I'm going by my experience and what I know about guns, and seeing the boots on the ground from JJ and Lee, how they explained and showed, and I'm sure we'll see tons of more footage on how compact that area was. I cannot believe that a gunshot went off in that house and you didn't have half the block come out
Oh,
in the middle
yeah,
of the
look,
I know, and I understand it's 4 o'clock in the morning, a gunshot going off, even with a silencer. Even people, again, people are under a wrong impression of what a silencer is. It still makes a pretty big noise. I cannot believe. Yeah, go
let's
ahead.
talk about that for a second. I want to pull that thread just a little bit. We're
Yeah.
to believe that cameras near the house, and I can tell you that you can get sounds off of cameras near the house. I've seen it. Those houses are right on top of each other. But we're to believe a camera near the house picked up a dog barking, whimpering of a person, and a thud, but didn't hear a gunshot, didn't hear 3 people fighting for their lives. Remember, it is almost indisputable. Multiple victims were alive and fighting for their lives. We now hear new testimony that's kind of was held for a long time. Dylan heard screams, cries. There was noise, but what we hear is a camera nearby heard a dog bark, a thud, and a whimper. Really?
Well,
Right.
but that's at that time.
Yeah.
Right. That's assuming that it aligns with the time window that they're giving us. I recall looking at the Linda Lane footage and hearing what sounded to me like a gunshot. In fact, Jesse Weber from Law and Crime had a FBI guy, a retired investigator on his show, and they went over the Linda Lane footage, and he said that sounded like it could have been a gunshot. Now, again, it goes back to the time frame. If there was, just to say hypothetically, a gunshot earlier, and it wasn't in the 1112 footage at a given time frame, and it was earlier, because if they're trying to pin it on a certain time frame, then and they're focusing on that, it doesn't. Now, I'm not saying that I feel really confident that there was a gunshot, but I remember early on when that Linda Lane footage started circulating, hearing what to me sounded like it could have been a gunshot a little bit away. Linda Lane has got those 2 buildings in between, the Queen Road apartments.
The Whites, right? I think it's the Whites.
Well, the Whites is kind of I think the Whites is beside that, and the Queen Road. Well, it's kind of has both touching it. The Whites and the Queen Road.
Right.
But the one that I think that Joe's talking about is a Queen Road.
Okay.
Which there's literally a walkway between the 2, the Queen Road the Queen apartments. So.
So to me, I think, why would that not be reported? Well, I said this before, because a round can be identified and it ties to something else, right? Oh, it was a 9mm, it was a 45, whatever. It gives a little more information as to what kind of firearm was used, if in fact there was a firearm used. I also agree with what one said, and I had spoken about this in the past, that a stun gun could have been used.
Yes.
For sure. I know I have a stun gun, and they make a loud snapping sound. So, but I'm just saying that as far as the possibility of the thread of a firearm being used, now we could all ask, why would they want to hide that? Well, if there was a cop there at the house earlier,
right,
cops carry firearms, right? And so, for all we know, a police officer could have been there and shit got squirrely and a shot had to be fired. Now, could
So
it have been a perpetrator? We've all talked about this
Yeah.
variation of the theory. Could there have been shit going down and a cop was there and maybe crimes were being committed and he has to shoot somebody, and because they don't want it to come out that this cop was at the house at the time of some crazy event happening, that they didn't want that to get out, that there was a firearm used, because then they got to pull on that thread. What kind
Right.
of bullet was used?
It's funny you guys were talking about the stun gun. My wife has a taser here, and I was gonna pop it here. So you notice the flash, right? And
Mhm. Yeah.
so Bethany says, I heard a firework and I saw a flash of light. So could
Well,
it
there
have
you
been
go.
something like that? You know?
But
Yeah,
even
I have
that
one.
would still make a lot of noise because okay, point in case, I was just out with the dogs earlier this evening. My one neighbor's house is not as close to me as some of the houses around the King Road neighborhood there, and yet there's smoke alarm inside their house. Beep. You know how when the battery's dying and it's time to change it. I heard their smoke alarm go off even though their house is, like I said, farther away, and but we have kind of a bowl situation effect here. So even that stun gun sound, Lee, you just putting that off right now, somebody had to have heard something. But the question is, were of course, are they too scared? Were they too scared to say anything at the time or any time? So
Yeah, I mean, as far as the taser that I was just showing, that I don't know that you would hear from outside the house. It's not super loud, but it does make a sound that somebody in the house would hear it, and somebody would see the flash. And it was just a demonstration because my wife happened to have it right next to me, and I'm like, oh, I'll just put that on
that's
camera and see
cool.
what it looks like. But yeah,
Yeah, and a gun. I agree. I recognize that a firearm would make if you're in the
Oh yeah,
house, it
definitely.
would be. There's no mistaking that with a taser or a stun gun,
Uh,
right?
I mean, that place is like an echo chamber. You know,
Yeah.
you
So
guys, you guys were right there, and it's very possible. You know, I said this a few times. A lot of people just, they assume that all the the I guess it sounds like a fight. Whoever was involved in whatever fight, whatever was going on the Linda Lane footage, if you pull up, what is it, like 1:15 to like 2:30 a.m. on 11/13, we don't know necessarily where that's coming from. You can't just like everyone just assumes it had that had to be like right there at a 1122. No, I mean that there was a party that was going on. I forget. I keep forgetting the address, but it's if you go up Wakina, it's 620 at the top of the hill behind the house. So if there's a party going on up there, it could have been people outside there, and that whole something one going on in the street or something up there. That all that sound would have traveled right through. I guess it's the Queens apartments that you said, the ones that are side by side.
yeah,
All that volume, all that you guys were right there. You could
yeah,
attest to that. It's like an
yeah,
echo chamber.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
it's just interesting. What I always keep going back to is if there were police officers at that house, that is massive, and
Yeah,
that would open the door to many lines of inquiry, like extraction or involvement. You know,
right.
I mean, I've said this before. If there was shit flowing in and out of that house, and it was known that it was, well, it wouldn't look very good if there were two police officers hanging out in that house, because that's a whole other can of worms. And reality, I mean, I look at things reality. I mean, I know plenty of cops, and some of them are more conservative and low key, and some are partiers, big partiers. They're human beings,
And some
right?
are vampires. Some are vampires. So.
Yeah, and some are vampires like one. So I
Right.
just think that, that we have to dig a little bit past the like normie narratives. Like, I mean, cops do fucked up shit too. We've all seen it. I'm sure one knows that documentary, The 7-5, about the New York City cops back in the
Oh God.
70s, that
Oh yeah.
massive corruption. So shit goes down, and in a small town, if you're in a powerful position of authority, you can get away with a lot of shit.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, one of the things I for those people who are eagerly waiting for the more footage to come out, I feel a little bad, but I'll tell you this: we've got one of the things you guys don't know is we have a collaboration in the works that's coming up very soon, and I would like to feature today's walk around because I know that the person that we're going with to collaborate with was really excited to see the footage that I showed on Birdie's Live, the nighttime drive of the area, and so I've got some daytime footage to add to that, and I'm going to premiere that with them very, very shortly. So I'm going to keep it on a little bit on the down low. There will be members only footage coming up again with Joe and I that we're going to edit and make sure that it doesn't have anything offensive being said in there, or stuff that was meant to be private. And maybe some of that I'll even put to music and just do a drive or something like that, or narrate over. I don't know. We are gonna fix it. We're gonna get it done. I will tell you this: my wife and I have been nonstop since we got here. The last time we ate was about 6-7 hours ago. We're both dying to eat. Now I can leave you guys with the show if you guys want to keep going without me, or we can close early. You guys have a preference for, you want to keep talking for a little bit before closing down, and Rhonda and I will get the bite to eat, but we're famished. We're just like, oh my God, we got to go eat something. So you guys want to shut down early tonight, or do you guys have a bunch of shit on your mind that you want to talk without me and keep the show going for a little bit more?
I could do it either way. I could shut it down and
wherever you want.
go get some stuff done.
I would prefer, until my system is up and running, that in order to make sure that it gets shut down. I don't want to go on and then not be able to actually shut down.
So I'll tell you what, let's wrap up early for tonight, guys. This is a special feed. By the way, for those who are interested, make sure you're a member. It's only $3. My wife and I may be live streaming from Moscow, Idaho tonight as well on members only feed. And that would be kind of a raw feed of us driving around talking about some things. Rhonda's insisting she needs to go to the grub truck and get herself some mac and cheese. That may be live streamed. By the way, if the grub truck has their live feed on again tonight, you may see us at the grub truck. I'm a little sketchy about how much to tell people when and where we're going to be when we're in Moscow. However, Rhonda insists we are getting some grub truck food. So if their stream is up, by the way, I suspect that they took their stream down on the anniversary of the murders on purpose so that people wouldn't do cameo shots that look at me, I'm at the grub truck. So their feed was down when Joe and I were here, and I bet that was on purpose. However, I believe their feed is up. So yeah, if you are a member, it's only $2.99. You can watch members only live, and we may be live streaming from the streets of Moscow. Who knows? Anytime I could go live. So thank you for coming tonight, everybody. I know it was all Idaho 4. I have 4 other cases I cover: Luigi Mangione, Rex Heuermann, the Lisk case, again, Mickey Steins, and there's another one, Charlie Kirk. We can't forget Charlie Kirk, which is arguably one of the biggest cases there are. But I'm lagging a little behind on this channel. We're still kind of very, very heavy in Idaho 4. We're ramping up in the Charlie Kirk stuff. So we'll get that going here more and more as time comes. So I think with that, by the way, I'll brief my panelists who are left. If you guys are still here, I know some people have maybe already logged out. I'll let you guys say your good nights, and then let's go ahead and sign off for the evening. You got Robin, you want to say a good night at all?
Oh yeah, thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us, even though things are a little discombobulated, but it's all good stuff coming your way. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a member, because like I'm saying, It's all good stuff. Trust me. So you're not going to want to miss it. So, and just to each and every one of you out here, and to our friend Fiji, she's been having some health struggles. So if everyone could say a prayer for her, that would be great. I know a lot of you know her. So if you could please just, send positive vibes her way, pray for her,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I know she'd really appreciate that. So
Yeah, I hope she's well. Joe, you want to say a good night?
Yeah, good night, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I might be missing some days next week, but I'll be back soon.
All right. And then 1-1 shut his camera off, but 1-1, did you want to, I see you're muted as well. So if you want to say something, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
sorry. Yeah, always doing things. Have a good night, everyone. We'll definitely see you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much for my panelists that joined us. As you always, have a great evening, and we'll be in touch. We got more footage to make tomorrow. And my
oh
wife
my
says
God,
hi.
Mrs. DA.
Mrs. DA made an appearance on
Mrs.
camera.
Wow.
Have a good evening,
All
everybody.
right. Be
Good night,
safe.
everybody.
Watch your back, DA.
I got it.